In this tutorial, we'll be covering how to do the data analysis for Scientific Writing 3, comparing the submax and the VO2 max test to see which submax is best at predicting the VO2 max values. So to begin, we're looking at the data analysis in the lab manual. It tells you to go in and calculate the average and standard deviation for anthropometric data, the submax tests, and the VO2 max tests. So, just like any other time we've calculated average and standard deviation, we'll go in and use the same formulas that we've previously seen. Again, it's population. Make sure not to grab that average. I've already made it so there's only one decimal place, and then I can drag across. I'm going to do the same above here right now, and it's confused because you can't divide by 0, and so it's going to show us this. And I'm also going to increase the decimal by 1. I know right now you can't tell, but you'll be able to tell shortly. So you go through and do the same thing. I've already done it here to show you quickly. So you'll go through to each sheet, and you have a sheet for all subjects and then for males and females to see if there's a difference in the results when we look at them based on sex of the participants. So now we're in the female tab. The females, you want to pick whichever you have fewer subjects in to do this. And so females, we have 11, and they're in this data set we're 15 males. So I'll click up here, and then down here you see that we're on the female tab, it's highlighted white. You can either hold down the control button, and the control lets me to select different ones, or you can just hit shift. And of course, if you're on a Mac, you'll have to do command shift or command control. With the shift, it'll fill all of them between the two we selected. So if I'm on female and I had 5 more tabs over here and selected that farthest one, all the tabs between female and that 5th tab would be filled, but these male and all subject would not be. So just like body composition, we're taking the absolute difference of our VO2 max test and each of our submax tests. So absolute, and then this is our 10 by 10, and I'm going to hold that column, so I'm going to put that $sign before the letter but not the number, and then I'm going to subtract the results from the queens and drag it over. We see that it changed. Double check that it's pulling from the right one: Cooper, Cooper, Monarch, Monarch, etc. And then we'll just drag down. Now, just like the body composition, we're looking at the average difference to help us calculate and determine which is best at predicting the same result from our VO2 max. So the closest to 0 is what we're looking for. If you see here, I've increased all of these so it has an extra decimal place. Make sure you do that, especially if you have 2 numbers that are pretty close. If I only had 1, those would look the same, so we'll go out to see what that difference is. So for the females in this set of data, Queens was most accurate, closest to 0, then Cooper's, and then the Monarch or YMCA test. Then if I click down on the males, you see that the others have already been unhighlighted. And if I drag down, we see the same results. So now for the males, we see that it's Cooper's, and then the Monarch, and then relative. And then in the female, and then in all subjects, the same thing. This 1, 3, 2 is that ranking from the females since we did it at that time. And here we see the same as the males. So again, make sure you're looking at that average difference. Sometimes, a lot of times, the standard deviation might line up. Sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it doesn't. So make sure you're looking at that average difference. Now we need to see what you need to include in your results. So the first thing is a table with average anthropometric data between sexes. So I'm going to go down and create one more sheet. If you accidentally add it somewhere weird, you can just drag it to where you want. And I'm going to go in, and we're just looking at the basic data. So all I need is average height, weight, and age. So I'm going to copy it. I'm not going to go in the first corner, but I'm going to go over here. It's saying zeros. Go in, hit Control, and select values. Then I'm going to come in and select the average and standard deviation. Go back. And if it's giving you this weird reference thing, values number formatting is the one you want to select. That will hold our decimal places as well. So it got a little wonky on that. I'm actually going to insert another. I'm going to merge and center this. This is our males. Repeat. And I want everything to be centered. And now I'll just go get the female data and copy and paste it in the same way. So there we have our averages and standard deviation. You could also put the standard deviation up here with a plus minus sign to make it just 2 rows. And then you just copy and paste this into your Word doc. The next table you need is the average VO2 for all tests, all subjects, split into sexes. So you could do this 2 different ways. I'm gonna come over here and grab this information. So you could choose to make this 1 table or 2 tables. If you made 2 tables, you do all subjects together, or just and then males and females split, or you could choose to do all of them together, which is what I'm going to do here. So I copied and I skipped those first 2 rows because I'm going to put all subjects there. And so I'm taking this data copying and pasting that up. Always make sure you have those units so you don't lose points. And then I'll go get that data from the other 2 sets. And even there, make sure that the numbers, it gave us numbers, but they're the wrong numbers before I told it to just take the numbers. What I was trying to do was actually take the formula and apply it. So it was taking the averages of the numbers above it. So it changed the results. And obviously you don't want that to happen. So then you just copy and paste this and make a nice table that way. And then we need to display our test rankings with a bar graph. And to do this, I'm going to unmerge them. Or you could just retype them, might be faster at that point. And for this, we're doing the average difference. And so we just want that average. The average difference, not the averages from over here. And then I'm going to select all that data, and we want a bar graph. So it's creating that extra line because I accidentally selected an extra row, I believe. I'm going to try again. There we go. So if you want them grouped by which test was best, you can do it this way. If you want it to be the opposite way, you would just put your all males and females up here. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. We don't want that. We want the other one that I originally selected. There we go. Our axes titles are going to be then we don't actually need that one. And then you change the title. And we do want error bars. And you can, again, put those labels if you'd like. The other way I was talking about is if we had the 6.91 here. So I'm just switching the orientation. Show you. These are the different ways you could look at it, but this is going to show your ranking, and then you just discuss this ranking and you refer to this table. And that is all you need for data analysis and creating your results for Scientific Writing 3.